Social media might honestly have to be one of the worst creations that humanity has offered. It did start off as an exciting innovation for our generation, with the promise of convenience and unlimited communication, but it has since then devolved into something a lot more insidious. One of the prime examples being, can you think of an instance in which you were feeling pretty good about your life, so you then decide to kill some time and scroll through Instagram? And as you lay there, you come across a post about how your best friend from high school just put a down payment on a brand new house, or your friendly coworker just announced they're getting engaged and they're off to the Bahamas for their beautiful wedding, or your coworker Todd just invested in a stock and now they're making millions. Good for them. The list goes on. Feelings of being inadequate and the sense that you're behind in life are some of the most common effects of being chronically online. This is especially tied to life sharing apps, most notably being Instagram. The idea is simple. You post moments from your own life while also scrolling through a carefully curated, highlighted reel of everyone else's best moments, milestones, and achievements. This experience is incredibly common, particularly among those who grew up alongside platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But it isn't limited to younger generations. Anyone at any age can feel the mental toll of doom scrolling and spending too much time on the internet. While old and modern social media are vastly different in many ways, the idea and prime objective for online networking hasn't really changed. What began as a way to connect has slowly evolved into something much more consuming. By the mid 2010s, MySpace and Facebook were becoming obsolete, while Twitter and Facebook were becoming a lot more prominent. It was also during this era in which Vine was born. Personally, there's a sense of nostalgia associated with Vine. There's something about Vine that just feels so much more differently compared to what we see on Instagram and typical social media. Yes, unfortunately, Vine did launch the career of Logan Paul and many of others, but when Vine then shut down in January of 2017, it felt like a turning point. It was during at this time that this moment also coincided with the rise of content creation as a legitimate career. YouTube monetization was beginning to take off, and creators who had built audiences on Vine were able to migrate over fairly seamlessly. For better or for worse, this was really the birth of full blown influencer culture. If you could get attention, build your own niche, and stay consistent, making money online became more accessible than ever. And with that comes the version of social media that we now know today. Along comes March 2020, and life as we know it has changed dramatically. While the pandemic was obviously a global health crisis, it also caused a severe toll on society's mental and emotional health. As a result of being on lockdown, we naturally resorted to being on our phones and scrolling online since there was not much else that anyone could do. This was when TikTok really started to boom, along with the ever growing rise of influencer culture. Amid the growing tensions of everything else that was going on and being left to our own devices in this crisis, there was something about this period of time in which there felt like there was a shift. The social and political climate of the world intensified. And ever since the 2020s started, it feels like we are more disconnected than ever, even as social media continues to dominate. And nowadays, we are left questioning if what we see online is even real with the ever growing rise of AI. So, despite all of its negative flaws, what makes social media so addicting? Social media gives us that instant fix of dopamine. It gives our hands something to do so that we don't like to feel like we're sitting in stillness, which can feel uncomfortable. And as we continuously use our devices, the internet stores that information and studies our algorithm and feeds us content that would interest us in order to keep us addicted. Humans nowadays need everything instantly, and now that we have this tiny device that fits into our pocket that contains all of the possible knowledge in the world, it is designed to essentially keep us glued to our phones. Why is social media so toxic? Social media serves as a tool for validation, and it makes us crave attention in areas that we don't normally find it. Social media also makes it easy for us to compare ourselves to others. It also creates an unrealistic perception of reality and can distort our expectations. And the biggest reason why social media is so toxic is how much of a time waste it is. Instead of doom scrolling, you could be using that time towards brushing up an old hobby, reading a book, or even just going out on a walk. It's amazing how much time can be freed up when you cut social media out of your life. What I've learned from deleting social media. When I deleted social media, it was like a huge shift in my life had begun to change. My self esteem and confidence began to build. I wasn't seeing what others were up to, and I wasn't feeling bad about myself. It made time for me to focus on my productive hobbies, such as drawing and painting, and honestly, it made me feel like a little kid again. I usually have a fear of FOMO, but when I couldn't see what everybody else was up to, it made me care less because I was just focused on myself. In addition, I sleep better, my attention span has improved, and I feel less anxious overall. And while it sounds daunting, quitting is easier than you think. And here are some tips on how to do it. Leave your phone out of reach. Seriously, put it in another room if you have to. Just make it so that it's difficult for you to easily access, especially when you're working or studying or in the middle of doing something. Whenever you need time to focus, just put your phone away. You'll be amazed at how much more productive you can be in just 10 minutes when you're hyper focused on your current goal without being distracted by your phone. Delete any accounts and apps that you think might be a detriment, most notably being Instagram. Alternatively, you could replace Instagram and TikTok with some more educational apps. Go outside. Keep yourself occupied with friends and hobbies. Just do what you need to do so that you're not tempted to go online. Also, take note of how you feel compared to how you felt before deleting social media. This motivates you to keep going. In conclusion, the main points that I really want to summarize boils down to a few things. That what you see online isn't real life. Everything that you see is just a selected moment, and it's unrealistic to compare your behind the scenes life to someone's highlighted reel. The thing with social media is that it creates a really distorted sense of yourself. You could be feeling great about yourself one day, but then once you just sit down and go on your phone, it's like an instant switch from feeling your best self to feeling crappy. Now, I don't really want to knock all social media because, of course, hello, YouTube is social media. So I also want to make a point on making social media work for you and not the other way around. There's honestly a lot of good apps out there that have helped me a lot through some things, but you need to respect the balance. It really helps when I journal because I can get introspective, and that helps me reflect on noticing that if an app that I'm using is not serving me in a positive way, it doesn't deserve my time. So really learn to be introspective and in tune with your emotions, especially when you're doom scrolling. Curate your feed to see things that you only want to see and not things that would upset you. For example, my feed is just full of doggy accounts and food accounts, two of the best things in life. It's just really important to note that there are no positive benefits to social media, whereas a life without social media is so much better. I can't imagine growing up as a little kid with what we see today. So if you're a younger one and you're watching this and you're noticing these issues, I really hope that you can enjoy your youth, step away from the phone, go outside, play with friends, because you really want to enjoy those moments while you can. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time.